We'll now present the Science and Environmental Medal to an individual whose inventiveness and concern for others have contributed greatly to improving the mobility and quality of life for our nation's disabled veterans. Here to present the award is the Deputy Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Tom Bowman.
Rory was an Eagle Scout who enlisted in the Army in the early 80s when he was 17. He had served in Germany for several years when he was in an accident that left him paralyzed. That chapter in his life shaped his work for the disabled, and it turned a terrible accident into a valiant life story. Rory became a biomedical engineer who finds ways to solve problems that people with disabilities face every day. He founded the nation's leading assistive technology research laboratory and has led major innovations in the design of manual and power wheelchairs and other assistive technology equipment. Rory and his team are credited with 25 patents advancing wheelchair technology. Hundreds of thousands of disabled veterans have benefited from his inventions. They can now move across terrain they couldn't access before, play wheelchair basketball, rugby, and other sports, and perform ordinary tasks many of us take for granted. Roy has partnered with other inventors, including Dean Kamen, who I enjoyed meeting this evening, and Roy designed research equipment that nearly 100 laboratories use to help even more Americans with disabilities. Let us learn more about Rory Cooper.
I first got involved in public service by joining the Army at age 17. So I served for a little over 3 years when I was injured. I was basically run over by a truck and had a spinal cord injury. And back in the early 1980s, there was no Americans with Disabilities Act. So it was kind of uncharted territory. I've gone through some hard times, and at least one of the things that drives me for public service is to help reduce the number of people that will have to go through some of the things that I had to experience. I would describe my work kind of in two ways. One of them is using my engineering background to try to solve problems for people with disabilities, especially veterans with disabilities. Life with a disability, even today, is still fairly tough. And the other part is trying to train generations of people to follow in my footsteps to hopefully continue to address these problems. And that's what it's really all about, right? Trying to make their lives better, their families' lives better. Who's more important to serve than somebody who was perfectly healthy, put their life on the line? You know, you talk about, in America we talk about the 1%, but the 1% that's really important is the 1% serving in uniform.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in honoring the winner of the 2017 Science and Environment Medal, Rory Cooper.
Boy, it's tough to go first. So I'm not sure that Sergeant Rory Cooper would realize that he'd ever be up on this stage. It's pretty overwhelming, actually. I certainly would like to thank my wife for supporting me all these years. Those of you that have served in the military realize that she knew me as a young corporal, or Spec 4, as we say, actually helped me get promoted to sergeant, and we supported each other ever since, and I owe much of my success to her. And actually to the veterans that have helped me so much over the years. Early on, it was the World War II and the Vietnam veterans that taught me things, my peer mentor, and the VA that has been with me the entire time, from acute care to education, to offering me a postdoc position, eventually hiring me as a research scientist, and then entrusting me with running one of the VA's rehabilitation research and development centers. And we're part of a network of people that do just tremendous things every day for our veterans, and not only for our veterans, but with our veterans. And standing with me on stage is my wife, Rosie, who actually went on eventually to get a degree in physical therapy and does research in our Rehabilitation Research and Development Center in Pittsburgh. And Dr. DeCiano, who was a student of mine, and hopefully inspired the passion in him to serve in the VA as well. And now he's the medical director or co-director of our Rehabilitation Research and Development Center. We're inspired every day by the veterans that we serve. No one deserves more of our commitment every day than those that place themselves in harm's way. So I'm very grateful for all of you being here tonight. I'm very grateful for the VA for the opportunities that it's provided me, and to the veterans who have served and continue to serve our country so honorably. Thank you.